What's going on, guys? It's T-Squeeze here bringing you another YouTube video. It's been a while, so if you haven't been following me on Twitter or like my team on Facebook, you've seen that starting today I'm going to be rebuilding my YouTube. So this is a first video, and I wanted to do a product review for my first one, and it's from a great company, or the product's from a great company, which is a Scuf gaming controller. That's the controller that I have. That's the controller that I've been using since after Anaheim, the MLG tournament. Um, so basically what it is, the brand is Scuf Gaming. It's a Xbox 360 controller. They sell Xbox and PS3 controllers. But what it is basically if you're a competitive player, if you're playing Call of Duty, sometimes even like Gears of War and Halo, when you have burst weapons, if you shoot, you want to get the perfect, I guess it'd kind of be like a feel for your triggers and where you want to stop shooting so you can shoot it quicker. So with the Scuf Gaming controller, they have these little things on the triggers right there, which are trigger stops. So when you push it down, it doesn't go all the way down. It just goes to there, and it triggers. That's how far it is for it to register on when you push the trigger down. So it's great for Call of Duty. Even I use it for when I play Gears of War on the side and Halo. It's a great controller. But like I said, that's one of the awesome features about it. They also have these two paddles on the back. They're both clickable, if you can hear that. And basically you can configure it when you order your controller. This is the classic controller, so this was not the first models, but at the time when I ordered it, they didn't have any other, like, now they have a hybrid controller, which I'll get into, but this is just a normal Scuf gaming controller, and it has the two paddles, and you can configure the paddles to any button when you order it. So if you want your X to be your left paddle, then when you're playing, you just hit the left one right there, and that'll be X. So it's great if you don't play claw. So that's the paddles. It's very easy to get used to even if you play claw, but really if you don't play claw, it's probably one of the easiest transitions you'll have. For me, I was a little bit hesitant buying this controller because I do play claw. So if you don't know what claw is, when you play, your fingers are going to be on X and Y like that, or Y, A, or B, whichever is comfortable to you. So when I played, it was always like that, and that's how my hands work. Most people play like that with their finger on the trigger. So for me, the paddles seemed like it wasn't going to affect how I played. But when I got it, if you notice how I had it, my finger was on X, and it was resting like that. So it was going to be further for me to click A and B. So when I bought my controller, I configured the paddles to be A and B. So when I'm playing Call of Duty, if I have to jump shot or drop shot, I just click the back of the paddle, and that's easier rather than bringing my finger all the way down, because my fingers are always resting on the paddles and the triggers. So it's a really good convenience that the paddles are back there. Now, if you don't play claw, I mean, it'll make your game just so much better. I've seen a lot of people. One of my old teammates, he bought this, not this exact controller, but he bought a Scuf controller before Anaheim, and he wasn't the best player, but he got really good after using the Scuf. I mean, it really excels your gameplay to basically quicker reactions. That would be the best kind of like description I can give to you on how it'll boost your gameplay. I mean, you're still gonna have to land your shots and everything, but you'll see a great improvement on your reaction times, I think, with the paddles. I mean, it's like I said, if you have to turn a corner and jump shot, I mean, it's resting right there. So as long as you play like that, I mean, you're not gonna grip the bottom of the controller like that 90% of the time. So it helps a lot. This controller itself, was $119.95 without changing anything, because if you go to their website, you can change the LED lights on the little ring right there when you plug in your controller, and it has the green for whichever player you are. Like I said, I have the optic controller, so it's green anyways. That's the middle where you plug in your headset. And also, another thing that I didn't talk about for the controller, you can get this thing called Scuf grip, I think that's what it's called. And if you can see on the back, it looks like a rough feeling, kind of. Because if you look on the top, that's kind of this part. That's how your normal controllers would be on the bottom. But with this, you have that roughish feeling, and it's basically, if you play for long hours at a time, you notice your hands do start to sweat, and I mean, it's not like your hands are gonna like be sliding off, but it throws you off a little bit. And with this grip, your hands will still sweat, but it's grip, so I mean, your hands relatively stay in place when you're playing, and it feels a lot better. You don't have to get it on there. Like I said, there's different options you can do. I know a lot of people and pro players, you can get the dome sticks, which are PS3 controllers. That's what they use. But I got the normal, they're concave. It's the Xbox sticks. A lot of people get domed right sticks for some reason. I don't know why. But you can change the sticks. You can do them both to where they're dome sticks. There's a lot of different variations you can do. If you don't want to spend that much money, they have regular controllers. Not regular, but just plain black matte finished Xbox 360 controllers with the trigger stops and the paddles, which is $79.95, and that's not changing anything. Like I said, you can still go on there and change it. They probably have at least 20. I mean, I haven't spent the time to sit there and count all the different controllers, but they have a good amount of different. I mean, there's some. I know there was one I was looking at. It was called the Animal Scuf, I believe it was, and it was a blue, black, and white controller, and it had like 3 little like claw scratches, I guess you can say, on like this little left side of the controller. It looked pretty cool, but I went with the optic one just to support the optic boys. So like I said, there's a lot of different variations you can do to every controller. If you play PS3, they still have this. I don't really know how the trigger stops would work, because the PS3 triggers are a lot different, and the controller format is a lot different also. But I know they have the paddles and the trigger stops on them. I just haven't spent the time to look at it. But overall, if I had to give you pros and cons, I basically said it. But pros would be the trigger stops is one of my favorite things that Scuf provides you with on their controllers. Just because of the fact, when I play Call of Duty, 90% of the time I'm using an SMG, but when you're playing, I mean, in the early game of Black Ops 2, I use the pistol a lot, and it's burst, or even single shots. So when you keep pushing up and down all the way, I mean, on a normal controller, it has to go all the way down, so further than that. And it's hard to get used to it on where you want it to stop. So with the trigger stops, one push down like that, and you just keep doing that, and it's in the same spot every time. So you get used to it real quickly. Like I said, another pro is the paddles, just quick reaction times. I mean, it's ridiculous how many times they've saved me when I play. I haven't really looked at my upload count, but I mean, you can probably tell from when I started using a Scuf and when I didn't, because I know one thing. I never used to jump shot playing Call of Duty, and now almost every game I play, I jump shot it a lot. And I know when I play Halo now, I used to jump shot, but I mean, I do it like it's going out of style now. And I mean, of course it's the different ways to how you play, but I do jump shot a lot more with the Scuf, just because I feel more comfortable hitting the A paddle on the back of the controller rather than, like I said, reaching all the way down from either X or Y to A. So it's a lot easier. The grip, I think, is another pro. It's just really comfortable to get used to, and it kind of gives it that like custom controller look. I mean, you're not going to see many controllers with this rough looking feel to it. Um, it's just really good controller. The cons, I mean, I would say if you had to pick one bad thing about the controller, I would say maybe the price. I mean, if you go buy a normal wired controller, it's gonna be like $60. I think that was the last time I spent. It was like $60 for a normal wired controller. So I mean, you can go either $80 pretty much or 120. So there's a lot of variations on what your price will be for it. But I mean, overall it'll be good in the long run. There's some people, this could be another con, that the trigger stops can fall off sometimes. But I mean, that's pretty much, if I would have to say, you're just not taking care of your product. But there's ways you can put it back on. You probably can't see it, but that the trigger stop is actually, you can put a wrench, I forgot what the type of wrench it was, but you can put it on there and you can tighten it, and I mean, hypothetically you can probably put it back on there. And you can buy this thing called a Scuf key when you purchase your controller for the paddles. So if you feel like your paddles are wearing out, you can buy replacement paddles. And with the Scuf key, you use those two little bolts that are nail bolts right there, and then you take those out, get your new paddles, put those in, and you pretty much have replacement paddles now. So that's good, but like I said, some people say they break easily. I've had mine since the end of the Anaheim tournament, and I probably got it around July. So I mean, I've had it for a while now. I haven't had any complaints about it. It's not like it breaks or anything, so it's a good controller. Like I said, there's no real bad cons that I can think of, to be honest. It's a great controller. For me, price-wise, I'm thinking for the price, it's a good thing rather than a con, but some people see it as a con because you're spending so much money on a controller for your Xbox. Because really, if you're going to be buying this controller, you're going to be a competitive gamer. Not many casual gamers know what a Scuf controller is. So if you're a competitive gamer, 90% of the time you're going to tournaments, you need something that's durable and a great controller overall. So it's a great controller to have. But one thing that is a con, if you're a casual gamer and you plan on getting a Scuf, the trigger stops will prevent you from like driving games, because if you push, I know for driving games because I play them, you need to push the trigger all the way down, and that's not all the way down. It barely triggers it. So you'll be going a lot slower. So there's a lot of times I have to switch controllers. Sometimes for sports games also. I know for Madden, like to sprint, you need the trigger all the way down. So I can't do that with the Scuf. I have to use a normal Xbox controller. So that is actually a con that I don't like. But like I said, this controller is for competitive gamers going to tournaments pretty much. So I mean, that's pretty much it, guys. Like I said, this controller is the Optic Gaming Scuf controller, $119.95 without adding anything. It's a great controller. You can get a carrying case, not a carrying case, but a protection case for it. So when you're traveling to tournaments, it's a great thing to have. I personally don't have it, but I mean, I have other ways of getting my controller around. So once again, the Optic Scuf, there's a closer look at it. Just a little bit of angles of everything. It's a great controller. Scuf does amazing jobs. The process on you ordering it, just so you guys know, you have to, it'll bring up a little like configuration type form when you're ordering it. Basically, do you want your LED lights changed, as in the color wise? I mean, you can get blue, pink, orange, whatever you want pretty much. Your sticks, for each one you can get, like I said, one domed, one concave. There's different price options for that. I think if you get the domed, you have to pay more money for it. So keep in mind everything that you change, it'll affect how much your actual controller is going to cost. So there's a lot of different things, like I said, the sticks, depending on your controller. If it's not a pro team controller, you can change all the colors of your buttons, your bumpers, your triggers, all that, your sticks. But like I said, that's going to cost you more money. So if you wanted to do that, something I would say is go and with the $80 normal controller and just change everything on that. I mean, you're still probably going to get a lot more, like the price is going to be a lot more, but it'd probably be cheaper than like picking an expensive controller just to have the black changed pretty much. So like I said, that's up to you guys on what you want changed on it. But you go through the entire form and then you review it. And then once you send that in, it places your order, obviously, processes it through your bank account, checking whatever, however you ordered it. And then they build the actual controller. And then once it's built, they don't ship it to you right away. They actually, I mean, I don't know if they have a test lab, but they actually test your controller for, I think mine was like 2 days. So they test it out, make sure everything works okay, it's configured to how you wanted it, and then they ship it out. There's different shipping options, obviously, and then you get your controller. The one thing before I end this video, guys, like I said, this is the classic controller. The other controller they have is a Scuf hybrid. What the difference is on the little handle part right here, they modified it a little bit to kind of how if your finger was right here, it would kind of rest on it. Another thing that's the major reason in the change of the controller is this has 2 paddles. The hybrid has 4. So there will be one right here, another one right here in this empty spot, and another one right there, and of course this one. So it'll be 4 total paddles. So you can configure them to all different buttons. I actually think you can program some of them to the same thing, but that would be pretty pointless, obviously. So that's a hybrid. I know they actually just announced a Scuf controller for like sports games. One, I think it was like the Striker or something, which is basically for like if you play FIFA, you can get that controller. But check out their website, guys. I'll put a link in the description below, right underneath this. I believe it's scufgaming.com, but like I said, I'll have it in the description. And this is the video, guys. It's a great product. I highly recommend it. Even if you're a casual gamer but you play a lot of hours, pick up this controller or any product that you want from them. They have wired, wireless, Xbox 360, and PS3 controllers. So they have everything for everyone. It's a great company. They'll work with you if you need support on it. Follow them on Twitter, like them on Facebook. It's a great product. And as always, guys, this is your dude T-Squeeze. I'll see you later.